All right. Well, everybody, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. And I thought that before we talk to Michael, that we would just take a moment of silence in remembrance of 9/11. I can't believe that was so long ago, and so many people have been affected all over the world by um, that incident. And so anyways, I just wanted to start this with a moment of silence. And for anyone who has been affected, our love is with you always, and we send you healing love and light. Well, today we have with us Michael Hane, and I think last week I said Michael Lane, and I don't know why I keyed it into my phone like that, so I apologize, but it's Michael Hane. And also I want to say for everyone, if you see a little head bop up, I have a needy dog here. I've been doing yard work for the last few days, putting mulch down, and she hasn't gotten enough attention, and she's letting me know that. Nickel is here too, my kitty. So I apologize, but they're very needy feeling today. They just need a whole lot of love. And I know that you do too, and that's why Michael is back here. We had so many questions come in after he was on last week, and for those of you who have additional questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A box here on Zoom. You can also put them on, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and key them in, and Ferris is going to be checking those as well. And Michael, welcome, and thank you so much for being back with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, I want to say to everybody, if you want to come and see him, sign up pretty soon, because he's just got a few spots left when he's going to be here in the Nashville area. And we found a wonderful location for him in Green Hills. So it's all just worked out beautifully. And people are coming from all over the place to see you, Michael. So
we have one spot left on Friday and 2 spots left on Saturday. And there are, I think, 4 left on Sunday. So you better get in there.
Yeah. Yep. And Michael, if you need me to move my spot on Friday for somebody, I can move to Sunday. That's not a problem.
Yeah. We can both do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're real flexible.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for being flexible.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone, let's go ahead, Michael, and just start by, for people who missed last week, go ahead and just explain what it is that you do.
I call it Atlas Aactivation, and it is a holistic reconnection of the head to the body via the very primal, important joint, the Atlas joint below the base of the skull. So it's a reconnection. It is a massage, neuromuscular treatment that employs body work, energetic work, and massage tools to make a correction that reconnects the head to the body. The part via the neck, base of the skull, that junction.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we had that came in fact, a few of them, they said, do you work on more than just the neck? Do you do body work, complete body work, or do you focus primarily on the neck?
The initial session is not a lot of body work. It is the activation, very specific massage around the base of the skull, and then I do about 40 minutes of craniosacral therapy. Now, craniosacral therapy is used to synchronize the movements of the Atlas joint, the occiput, the cranial bone, and the pelvic area. So those are 2 of the main joints in the that support the spine. So I will be doing an integrative craniosacral session to let the person, the individual, just lie there and to receive the work and to integrate it. But there's not a lot of massaging, not a lot of stretching or moving around. It's essentially holding and doing some very subtle movements, just to get the body to integrate this shift.
Oh,
And then follow-up work can be more massage, and we can address more specific areas, but just the cranial sacral work. But you'll feel whole. It's going to be working not only the neck, but you'll feel a lot of work down in the lower back area as well, and the sacral area.
Well, that's what I heard from everybody that saw you when we were at BJ's event.
Mm-hmm.
Said you just feel it all over, and you just feel so just in great balance. Even standing, you feel like you're in better balance.
Less is more in this case, for sure. When they're laying there, people are already feeling things shifting down to their toes. And then I just do a little bit of just very subtle support to that.
Will it help with vertigo? That's another question that we received multiple times.
It does help with vertigo, but sometimes the dizziness is a cause, a symptom of other things too. But I think the clients that I've had that had vertigo have improved. Is this specifically for vertigo? No. But can it open up the blood flow to the brain? Absolutely. Will it take away some of the constriction around the vertebral artery? Yes. So I think it will. And what happens is that when people look up and the Atlas joint is not seated properly, when you look up or ever, flex and extend your head, it can cause a crimping or a tension around not only the brainstem and the nerves, but also the artery as well. So when people look up, that's when they kind of feel this dizziness happening. In that case, I feel like this can help. Some people just wake up feeling dizzy. Some people are walking around out of the blue, they start feeling dizzy. That might be a different type of vertigo, but the ones that look up, move their head around, if they move their head too quickly and start feeling dizzy, that could very well be the Atlas, putting pressure on that artery.
Well, I'm glad that you said that about looking up, because Katie in particular just asked if it was about when she gets dizzy, it's when she looks up.
Absolutely. That's one. Yeah, this will be helpful because of the joint is not located properly. So looking up, it creates a constriction on the vessel and just compresses all the nerves and the vertebra below it. It's not, your head is not being supported correctly.
And she's wondering if you're planning on coming to Florida, because that's where she lives. She's not going to be able to come. But
I do go to Florida actually.
Do you?
So
okay.
I don't have dates yet, but I will be down there.
Okay.
I don't know quite when.
All right. She didn't say where she lives. She just said, does he come to Florida? So I don't know where she lives. But we'll certainly let everybody know when you have your schedule. We can let people know, because we've got people, from all over the place. Ferris, do you have any questions?
I'm muted. We've got Michael's email address on Facebook and on our YouTube channel, and I'm putting it in the emails as well. So you can get in touch with him about other states.
Yes. Okay. Great. Great.
Corinne wanted to know about working with children. Is it appropriate? Do you do it? Do you recommend a particular age to start with?
Well, I recommend that they are able to sit still in a chair for just 5 minutes or so.
So you can't work on me then.
Well, we'll have to tie you down, Ferris, but whatever it takes.
Crap.
We'll do it.
Okay.
I say, okay, so the children, this is a good question, because the children are already showing the same patterns as adults. So I believe it starts at an early age. The youngest I've done is 2 years old. I love doing children and families, because I feel like the earlier that this correction is made, the better that their body is going to develop. So already at tender ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm already seeing the symptoms, the short leg.
Really?
Kids are complaining of their back, their neck. Oftentimes we just think it's growing pains, but sure enough, when I do the testing and observe the body, I can find that their patterns are similar to what I find in adults. So children as young as 2, and I would even do that for no charge. They can just come. If you bring your child in and they're that young, just come and bring them. Anyone, younger than 5, I would just correct them. It doesn't take very long.
Okay.
But when they get a little older, I will charge half price. And then they're adult at 18, so they'll be full price. But if you want to bring your child in or just have me look at them, feel free, no problem. But I'm already seeing it early on, which makes me, over the years of doing it, I believe that this is something that happens in early development. Maybe even something genetic. I'm not sure yet, but.
And for those who may be concerned, just to reiterate, this is not manipulation. This is not chiropractic.
No, I won't be doing anything.
Some people are concerned about having manipulation done on children.
No,
not
in this case, no, Ferris.
Cindy?
One of the questions I had, and this was somebody that is actually 16, and he has been suffering from migraines since he was 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he did fall off the monkey bars when he was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been having, his mom said, she's the one that emailed me, but she said he's been having this problem ever since he was 10 years old and was wondering if it could be that.
Again, headaches can be caused by a variety of things, but if it's in conjunction with an accident or some trauma, and as I mentioned, I already see the patterns early on in development. So I already find that it's already unstable and not correctly balanced. And then an incident or a trauma occurs, and then it causes more instability there and a greater stress on the muscles all around it. And it almost over time gets tighter and tighter in that area. The atlas bone itself is not flat shaped. It'll tip when it's not correctly balanced. So very typical with people with headaches is that they have upward pressure around the base of their skull that radiates into the frontal lobe or the eye. It starts out with a lot of neck tension, maybe even as low as the shoulders. They start feeling this tension come up, creeps up. It's very, very specific to the base of the skull area, tightness, and then it radiates up into the frontal lobe of their cranium or in the eye. And I see this all the time, Cindy, this pattern of migraine tension headaches.
Well, Alex wrote in and wanted to know if he's been having muscle twitches. You just mentioned the eye, and he's wondering about muscle twitches, if that could be. And he had a car wreck, and then after that went to a chiropractor, and it started after that, actually.
Yeah, so perhaps, obviously it's a neurological issue. There's some nerve, there's some kind of reflex that's firing, or there's some pressure, irregular pressure on a nerve, and that would obviously be affected by the muscle tissue around it that's contracted or not, and maybe some of the vertebrae that are compressed because of the contraction of the muscles. Again, the body is always sensing pressure along the spinal cord. So if there's anything that feels weak or there's irregular pressure on a nerve, the body is just going to send signals to tighten up that area. And it'll just remain tight until it feels like it can relax or let go, or the pressure on the nerve has changed, or the feedback has changed neurologically. So a lot of times this pressure just persists with people because it's never really corrected. So the pattern, again, can cause chronic tightness of the muscles, which in turn creates deviations in the spine and compression, which, unfortunately keeps the pressure on the nerves. And so there's a whole pattern there. So again, I feel like this is so foundational. And by doing the correction, we're going to create space in there again, so that the discs below it can actually be stacked evenly, and not one side being pushed down and the other ones below it being compressed on one side. And then the muscles around that being tight and contracted, pulling it even further. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does. And it drives him crazy, and it's been quite a while. So
Well, if it's been quite a while, please, if you can make it, come, or
Yeah.
at least get checked. I can do a free, consult. That's no problem. But yeah, anything chronic, we have to look at the source, and that
Yeah, and
is.
he didn't say where he is, so I'll write back and see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and see where he is. I was hoping he'd be online, but I don't see. Well, actually, I don't see names. So, I want to thank all of you, by the way, for being here, and on Facebook, I want to thank you for being here, and spread the word. Please tell all your family, friends, anyone that's having an issue. Again, this is not a manipulation of the neck. It's an activation of the Atlas, and it's everything that I've heard from everyone that had it at BJ's. People are just raving about how they feel. Their balance is back. They feel more centered. They're able to think better. They feel more on top of their game like they haven't in a long, long time. So
that's nice to hear.
Yeah, just really wonderful reports. And that made me excited when I found out, Michael, that you were going to be here. Because I had heard so many magnificent things about you. So it's great. If you have any questions, please go ahead and write them in, and on Facebook as well. Let me see the other questions. And I had a lot of people write in about hip pain. You talked about that last week. And, a couple of people have said that they've been from one doctor to the other and they can't find a problem. They just, the pain is there. It's very real. They can't sleep. It's like it almost electrocutes them when they lay on their side. And the pain is so intense. And yet when they go, one had a CAT scan specifically that she said she had, and they don't see anything. So they're thinking, we don't know what it is, but can that be it?
Well, when you can't find anything with a scan, that's oftentimes the case. Everything looks fine, and yet the pain persists. So once again, when we correct the joint, the Atlas occipital joint, that junction there that supports the skull, it's going to affect immediately the sacral joint, which is going to create the balance in the hips. So again, this is foundational, and if you're going to start anywhere, you want to make sure that the hips are fully balanced, because it's the 10 or 20 pounds on one side that's heavier, that's causing the muscles around it to get tighter and tighter, more overdeveloped, and that's putting pressure on. A lot of times it's the sciatic nerve and the piriformis muscle. So there's some really good specific stretches for the sciatic nerve. But if your hips are out of balance, you're just you're gonna remain in this persistent pattern. So we have to make the correction. People that have hip surgeries that don't get the correction, I'm always like, great that you got a new hip, but your legs are still uneven and the weight is still off and not distributed evenly down. And over time, either the other hip's going to go, or that surgery is going to wear out, or something in your low back is going to, persist and stay tight and sore. So, again, we got to get those hips balanced. We got to get the weight even, and then that's going to help your balance, as a result. And that's what we all want as we get older. We want better balance. And certainly having a short leg does not help.
Well, she didn't say anything about the short leg, but the pain is there, and she did say that it's not sciatica. So,
okay. Well, it could just be in the joint.
Yeah. But they haven't been able to find anything. She says she's had every test. She's been to chiropractors, everything, and nothing has helped. And there's obviously something wrong because the pain's so severe, and she's pretty frustrated. Let's see. Ferris, while I'm looking at some of the other questions here, some of them, there's a lot of questions that are similar. So
Tricia on Facebook wrote in, and she wants to know, what if the SCM neck muscles are visibly constricted and tight? I don't know what an SCM neck muscle is.
It's a sternocleidomastoid.
Oh, well,
and
yeah.
It's a very, prominent neck muscle that, again, supports the head, the cranium, and attaches it to the torso, connects in the clavicle. That's not really related, but it is kind of related to the whole network of muscles that support the skull. So again, if we can create stability in the joint, the head and the muscles around it will be allowed to let go, and the sternocleidomastoid should relax as well. That could be also an issue of kind of shallow breathing, where you're breathing more in the upper chest and the upper lobes of the lungs and not more belly breathing, or keeping the diaphragm more relaxed and having full body breaths. But if you're breathing more shallowly and those muscles are used to kind of raise the rib cage a little bit, they can get overdeveloped. I've seen that. But again, the muscles that support the Atlas joint, that's not one of them, but that certainly supports the cranium and stabilize it. So it's all kind of related, and I feel like it would be helpful.
Okay.
She probably has other tension in other places as well.
That's contributing.
In that, yeah, that's in the same area, same kind of muscle groups.
Okay.
And what about numbness in the arm?
That's yeah, that's again nerve impingements coming off of the brachial plexus, coming off of tightness around the thoracic inlet. That's that area right, above the clavicle, the thoracic area. There it could be some impingements, and when the atlas is off, there's compression unevenly down one side, and that causes the muscles to contract, like I said, and it'll pull the shoulder up. One shoulder will be raised and the other one will be lower. And, that depending, I don't know if there's both arms or one arm, but certainly, again, we start with the foundation, and, maybe this individual is doing a lot of heavy lifting, or she's dominant on the side that's more numb, or she does a lot of driving or sitting at a computer, or maybe there's just a lot of tension around there. But it would certainly be at the lower neck and upper shoulder area that's tight, but that could be tight because it's not stable up at top. So everything that's supporting the skull and attaching to the base of the skull is also contracted. I don't know if that makes sense, but certainly there are vertebra that are muscles and vertebra, they're all losing space in there.
Chris, if you're on the line, and I apologize, I don't know if Chris is male, female. Just a Chris. Anyways, Chris, if you're here on the call, you said you were going to try and make it tonight. Please let us know any more information that you can that Michael can answer for you, or if you have any additional questions.
Thank you, Chris.
Sharon wrote in the chat here, and she says, I have a 12-year-old that is wearing an ALF device to widen his palate. And this kind of concerned me when I first read it, under the care of a physical therapist. I think she meant under the care of a physical therapist, mostly for cranial sacral work. Will that interfere with your work? He also falls some during skateboarding multiple times a week. Will that cause the work to go out of place over time?
It should not. It should not. Again, this is, things become more stable than before. I wouldn't say go ride the skateboard immediately after the session. I would give it a day or two.
That was the rest of her question.
But give it a rest.
I had. How long before they can start being active again? Should they take?
Well, they can be. I would say give the day off. Because I think this is more of an event, a moment in someone's life where it's finally corrected for the first time. So give it a day or two. At 12 years old, they're already showing the same signs and symptoms that I see in adults. So I think, again, it's foundational. Getting that to be corrected will take the pressure off the base cranial bone, the occiput, which then, I'm getting a little anatomical and maybe a little ahead of myself and beyond what's necessary for the information, but it absolutely will benefit the cranial sacral work. And all the cranial muscles, and all the cranial bones. You have this ongoing upward pressure on the base cranial bone that's touching the temporal bone, the parietals, the frontal, and then the sphenoid bone, which is behind the eyes. There's another joint. That's actually the third major neurological junction, the atlas, and then the way that the occiput forms a joint with the sphenoid. So again, I think it's going to benefit all of the cranial rhythms.
Okay.
Okay. And Ann wants to know, what about ocular migraines?
Yeah, that's a tough one again. I'd have to just go back to my default answer. This is going to take pressure off of the base cranial bone. It's going to release tension and this stricture around the nerves and the base of the skull and the brainstem. Ocular migraines, that, I think that's caused by other sensations in the environment that can cause that. I'm not sure if it's directly related. But again, I don't think what I do could hurt, and certainly would be able to help other aspects of her physiology and her physical structure. But I couldn't say, oh, it's going to get rid of your ocular migraines right away. It's done wonders for people with headaches, though, with chronic head tension. It's been great.
And what about ringing in the ears?
I could help too, because of the temporal bones and the auditory canal. The atlas bone is right behind the auditory canal, the soft spot right below the ear, the ear canal. So, again, it's a tight space in there. There could be a lot of pressure, on some of the nerves, but, I don't know if it's a fix for tinnitus. Tinnitus seems to be especially in Oriental medicine, it's a sign of some kidney deficiencies. And there also could be, just other kind of, other things going on, with their cranials, not sure. But again, I think it's a good foundational alignment.
Well, if everything's in alignment, if everything's in alignment, then everything is going to work better. And then whatever else you're doing for the problem, it seems like it would be that much more successful.
Yeah, I agree too. It's taking care of the fundamentals, and then allowing the other modalities and the other treatments that you're receiving and the other things that you're doing for yourself more effective.
Cindy wanted to know, do you work on pets?
It's funny, people ask me that. I don't really work on pets. Okay. I don't really work on pets. No. I mean, I'm open to it, but I use a massage tool that vibrates, and so I'd have to kind of get in there, and the animal would have to be relaxed enough and not scared or spooked. Or
he will scratch behind the ears.
Well, who knows? I'll try it. I'll do it for no charge. Be my gift to you, Cindy.
This was not me, by the way.
Oh, it's not you.
My
okay.
question was a different Cindy.
Okay. No, I would probably pass on that. But
yeah,
if you wanted to bring your dog into the session, you're welcome to bring the dog in. It's great. Okay. I don't mind.
That's funny. And the question from me, I was thrown from a horse when I was 10 years old. And after that, I had seizures for a number of years. And I have what I call an electrical runner that goes up the back of my neck. And I've had it since I was 10 years old. And it's the same pattern, and it comes and goes. In the last few months, it's come back like I haven't had it in a long time. Do you think something like that can help? Because the chiropractor it's not helping.
Hasn't helped yet. Yeah, I do. I mean, I really can't wait to lay my hands on that area and see. My feeling is that something being fallen from the horse is a clear, obvious trauma. And I'm sure something happened there during that incident, where there was some kind of compression. Your head is very vulnerable. It's heavy. It could have got whipped, moved around, and certainly, again, the atlas is already off. There's already an issue with it, an instability there. And now it's even more tense. Now there's even more tension around that area. So it could be putting pressure on those nerves.
I actually was thrown and hit a tree and broke my shoulder, and didn't know until I broke my neck a few years ago that it had been broken before. So apparently when I was 10, that was the only other injury I had like that. I must have cracked a bone. It wasn't, it wasn't a bad break, but there was a break in there. And when they did surgery, they said, you've broken before.
So what I would say with like a symptom like yours that's very chronic, over time, it may not go away right away, but what I've noticed with people that have chronic symptoms, especially with headaches and pressure like that, less intense, less frequent over time. Does it go away fully overnight? I would say no. Will it feel better the next day? Not sure. If I call you a month from now and be like, well, how's that that kind of shock coming up? Hey, it's actually better. And I only had it happen one time and it wasn't even that bad. That's what I'll hear. And then I'll be like, that's great.
Yeah.
Good results. And then maybe 2 months later, it's gone. I don't feel it anymore. And then you're doing your other things. You're getting massages. You're getting doing some chiropractic. You're getting, stretching or, whatever you like to do, Cindy. But, sometimes things are not overnight. And that's been the biggest challenge of this healing work is that people come because, they have a lot of pain, and a lot of times it's been very chronic. And it's been, when someone comes to me and says they've had a headache for 15 years, that's a big share. They've lived with this thing for a long time, and it can take a little time for that to really decrease and get better. Some people have had awful trauma, a lot of times car accidents and falls and things that their body has been really traumatized, their whole nervous system. So again, it takes some time for healing, and again, what I said last time, to feel safe to let go. So again, I think putting this the foundational piece back, I think, can help.
Well, I so agree. It's like when you have a broken arm, it doesn't heal itself overnight. If you've had this for a while, it's going to take some time, but you're being set up, your body's, in the way that I look at it, is being set up to be able to heal, whereas
Absolutely.
it was not able to heal.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Let's see. I think everything else, we've got a lot of questions here, but a lot of them are the same.
Yeah, Anna wants to know, and I should have asked this myself before, but it didn't occur to me. Have you seen any results with depression?
Yeah,
these kind of
actually.
Really?
Actually, I have. And it's not that they're not depressed or suddenly they don't have these deep inward, these waves of depression that come. It's like, I wouldn't say that, but what I do find with people is that they're accessing their feelings and emotions differently. That there's some kind of reconnection with what's happening in the heart and what's happening with their mind. Sometimes I see depression as the heart and the soul haven't been able to really come up with greater imagery and greater expression, and the mind has been overused, or the ego personality has been kind of worn out a little bit. And what's been maybe difficult or traumatic or something that has been a chronic pain in their life or emotional pain, can get kind of suppressed in there. So what I find is that when you open up this channel, when the mouth of God opens up, when the Atlas is corrected, I found that people have been able to access their feelings a little better. They've been more in touch with their emotions. And I feel like that's the right direction when it comes to feeling this kind of overwhelm or this kind of heaviness or this lack of joy or lack of levity, whatever you want to call it. I just feel like there's a bit of a disconnection with our heart and our soul, and too much ego personality, too much thinking, too much managing with thoughts, and not enough integration with the rest of us, of who we are. So I feel like, again, this is an important juncture where what's happening below the neck and in the body and in the soul realm can fuse and can now be reconnected and recognized again or felt again or re-experienced. consciously. Is that a lot of information there? But
yeah, it's beautiful.
Cool.
I kind of see that as what I've noticed with people, that there is this thing that we do when we have a hard time with certain events, or we have a hard time looking at ourselves, or a hard time trusting ourselves, or a hard time liking who we are, and we're just hard on ourselves. You know, we have to love that part of us that we have the most fear around, or love that part of us that's been the most painful, or that's traumatized us the most, or that area where we do feel weak and vulnerable, and to recognize that as part of your soul, part of who you are, and to be able to find love there in order to integrate it so that we can remember it, develop an understanding and wisdom around it, but we can let it go and not be controlled by it. And so I just recommend, when something comes up in a healing session, they're feeling some tears may come, they're maybe accessing something that's been traumatic in their life. You know, they really know what it is. We're not unintelligent beings. We know, but yet we don't always want to integrate it. We don't always want to, we want to love that, like the parts that we love about ourselves. That part we don't want to love, or that part we don't want to integrate, or we have a hard time looking at that, or we have some shame around it, or some deep, some deep issue around it. So again, I feel like if we can just open up the heart and let what's down below come up more freely, and just to let it be experienced, I think that's the step towards getting out of this heaviness and into just loving who we really are.
So it sounds like this would even help those who are trying to integrate their shadow side. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a disconnection there.
Mm-hmm.
I like to call this a reconnection.
Mm-hmm.
It's been putting pressure. It's been cutting off. It's been cut off and blocked for a long time. And there's something very primal in that area, that the base of the skull. And sometimes we're in more of a fight or flight and reactionary phase in our life, or the way we respond and react to things, as opposed to having that more freed up and allowing us to just feel more without reacting, and not having the fear, like if the vagus nerve is compressed, or there's some social anxieties or tension, and we might have a really hard time connecting to other people, to our environment, and connecting to what wants to come up inside of us, that wants to be seen and integrated and nurtured and loved again, that part of us.
And that was a question that I forgot to write down, but that was a question that we had come in from someone that she said it's been a long time since she's really been able to even feel like she loves someone. Like she said, I don't know what happened to my heart. It's like, I just don't care like I used to. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, she doesn't want to date. She doesn't want to go out with people. She doesn't want to socialize. She's just kind of in a I don't know if that would be considered depression. She didn't voice it as depression. She just says, I just don't care about people like I used to. I don't care if I hang out. I just soon be all by myself. And she said, I don't know what's going on with me.
She's going through a big transition in her life. She's rubbing up against some of the difficult things in her life, but it's equally necessary for her to shed what she needs to shed and to be renewed. So, I think when we go into those states, there's some transformation that's ready to happen. There's a big decision that needs to be made. There's a courageous choice that needs to be decided upon. So, there's something that needs to open up and become alive again. And I think it starts, kind of deeper in our soul level,
Well, I'm gonna go find that and write her back and just tell her to come and listen to what you have.
Just integrate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other one here, I can't believe I can't believe I couldn't remember this, but it was about memory because we had a few people ask about memory, if this can help improve, especially short-term memory, or if that's just because they're not paying attention to life in general. Because
I think it's probably a little combination of both, or maybe we're just simply overstimulated in this culture, and we have to filter through so much, that we maybe just put things aside. I don't know. Again, I think this is going to open up that area. It's going to bring more blood flow and oxygen to the brain. I think it's going to increase the way that our nerves fire. And, I think it can be helpful that way. But, I think listening, paying attention, all those things, I think will improve our memory. Okay. And, yeah.
Yeah, a couple people just said it's gotten really chronic, and even when they're paying attention, it's like they have to write down everything, and I get that to remember. Could be age related.
Oh boy, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe the brain, maybe there's, it could be something environmental as well, toxicities, and there's also the gut-brain connection. Mm-hmm. I've heard this many times that stimulating, cleansing the bowels. Doing work in the lower intestinal area, the colon area, can affect our memory, our brain functioning.
I can attest to that.
The nerves are similar.
Yeah.
So do a cleanse. I would recommend doing a cleanse, doing some fasting, and doing some meditation. I think we have to retrain, change some habits, and set aside a little time for a little exercise, a little bit cardiovascular stuff to get the energy flowing, a little bit of mindful meditation, of some reflection, of some affirmation, and then some just quiet meditation. And to do this on a daily basis, I think can regrow neural pathways that can, enhance the connectivity, and I think can be you can find improvement when we have some consistency. So stimulating the body through calisthenics or exercise, the walk is important, then carving out some time right afterwards to do some reflection, some writing. And then maybe after that, do some meditation, and then maybe do some podcasts or something inspirational or some reading.
I just finished with a cleanse, and it's amazing how much better your whole body feels. And even, I'm a runner, hence the shirt. But
nice.
But I also enjoy walking, and last night, or no, the night before, 11:30 at night, I went out with my two cats and my dog, and came across I call them the twins, two doe, and then there's another one that hangs out but doesn't hang with the two. They're like wrapped around each other, and then the mom. There's one mom, so I don't know if that's all hers or somebody else's babies, but you just take a moment and just to reflect on their beautiful love energy that you see with those two little babies wrapped up around each other like they are, and things like that. So after, they have the activation, I really want to encourage everybody to continue this journey, have this be kind of a setting the journey in motion. And now take time to meditate, take time to just go for a casual walk whenever you can during the day. Right now it's hot as it is in the Nashville area. Late at night is your best bet. And you get to see lots of little critters out there, depending on where
I offer a follow-up phone session.
Oh.
So anyone that has the activation can call me, and if anything comes up for them, any kind of questions they're having, or some personal, issues that might have come up in the session that they want to ask me about, there's no charge. I'm happy to talk to you. And if they need some support that way, that's available to people. And again, that's complimentary with their initial session with me. And I delight when people follow up with me and they share. So
That's good to know.
I would include that for sure.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And also some, I studied Qigong and yoga. I still practice both. And people have a lot of questions on things they can do as far as stretching and exercise. And I'm also available for that. If some people need to, I can do a Skype or Zoom, and I can show them some very basic postures to enhance their balance and to stretch the important areas in their body or anything specific they might have. So that's also available too. Some guidance with physical work, physical exercise.
And I didn't think about this, Michael, but especially Qigong, that would be just, after this, just seems like it would just be a natural, that gentle ease, healing motion and movement.
Yeah, I really recommend that. And especially as we age, just having strength in our joints and our muscles, our legs, and the balance, and being able to stand, drop your shoulders, sink the chi, sink the energy down, connect with the earth, breathe long, relax everything. That's very good for the nervous system. It's very healing.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that I've gone through, let me just double check my questions here. And Ferris, do you have any questions or anything on Facebook?
Nope, we got them.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I think I've got all the questions.
I'm gonna impose a question,
Okay.
and I think this is kind of in the back of people's mind. This is an alternative thing. This is not like going to the hospital and getting an X-ray, or this takes some intuition. Like, what, this really makes sense to me. I think I would really like to try this. And so I have a lot of respect, and I'm very grateful when people say, you know what, I want to just do this. I'm not sure. It just sounds right. It feels right in me. So intuitively, there's a yes there, and I think that's a wonderful energy to come from. But most people are like, I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little nervous. All the information's there. But is this going to make me worse? I've had pain for 5 years now. I've tried a bunch of things, haven't really helped, or helped a little. One made me feel worse. Is this going to make it worse? And I think that's a big question for a lot of people that have a lot of chronic pain. Is this going to make it worse? And I don't know you quite yet. I haven't laid my hands. I would know so much more if you came in person, and I can get a sense of what I'm feeling with the muscle tissue, what I'm feeling with the spine, and what I'm sensing energetically. I'd be able to give you a better answer. Is this going to make things worse? In the 14 years of doing this, I've never had anyone say I'm worse. There's some people that can have a learning curve and a healing process where they feel sore in other spots. Their low back hurts a little bit more. Then it kind of went up to their shoulders, or they felt really fatigued. Again, this affects the nervous system, or they had too much energy and couldn't sleep, or there's a whole variety of things that we can experience after the activation. It's mostly positive, but there is going to be a time where you might feel uncomfortably because the body is changing an old pattern. So anytime there's a change in something that's chronic and old, there's going to be a little resistance, whether it's mental or something in the nervous system. But is this going to make me worse? Is this going to harm me? I would say no, this is not going to harm you. In fact, I think this is probably one of the most sane and logical things to do, aside from anything energetic or esoteric, or I wouldn't even call it that. It's just simple mechanics. It's a joint. It's a structural thing. It's a piece of the puzzle that needs to be reconnected. So I'll just say that. And will it make, come and see me. And again, we can always find a time to do a free, just a consultation, or you can call me directly and I can answer some specific questions.
Okay, great. And you just brought up something I'm surprised that I didn't receive that question, which is about sleep. For people, those
very helpful for sleep.
Okay.
This is good. Yes. Not because, for one reason, people just have pain and they can't lay down flat. They can't get comfortable in their body to get good rest, or they have anxiety, or their mind is racing, or, I think this can also be very helpful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We
I know that question.
We do have one more Facebook comment from Mary. She had a session with Michael at BJ's WESAC gathering, and she said, "Michael, this helped me so much."
Yeah.
I love that.
I think.
And what's probably, right. I think I got all the O's in there, Ferris. You don't want to leave one out.
That's right.
Mary, I think I remember you. Are you from South Carolina? This is
Mm-hmm.
from, yeah, maybe.
Well, actually, is Mary in South Carolina or Georgia? I keep forgetting.
Can't remember. Anyway, Mary, I'm sure, like all the
but I guarantee you remember Mary.
I'm sure. Great. Well, then I say, Mary, you're doing great. If you feel better, that there's something about you that was just ready to move forward.
Beautiful.
Your body said yes to it. You went light speed ahead. Let's get this done. Let's get her done. I got things to do in my life. Let's move on.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ferris, any other questions?
Let me check one more time. Nope. South
Okay.
Carolina. It is South Carolina.
Oh, good. Oh, can you tell her that I'm going to be in North Carolina, and I meant to reach out to her. I'm going to be in Chapel Hill if she has any need to be seen again.
Okay. You just told her.
Oh, is she on? Oh, hi. Hey there. Okay.
Well, I thank you so much
anymore.
I thank you, Michael, for coming back and answering all these questions. We just had so many people just lit up. And I think that, for those of you who did and wrote in, first of all, I want to thank you for writing. Also, if this is something that is really resonating with you, just by you asking the questions, tells me it is, make time to go and see Michael. And if you can't get to Nashville, he's going to be in other places. And he's taken his show on the road, so he's going to be in North Carolina and then Atlanta, right?
Yes.
And so he is going to be traveling around. So give him a call. The information is right below. Like Ferris said, he's put the information right there so that you have his email address and you can email Michael, ask him where he's going to be, and take this opportunity to go see him, because, if you're getting a yes, listen.
And we've got the link to the scheduling calendar for Nashville, both in Facebook and in the YouTube channel, and it's in and in our emails.
Thank you, Ferris.
Great.
Thank you, Ferris. You're amazing. I love your courage in being so techy. It's great. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's his job.
Somebody had to do it.
It's someone can't be mine. I will fail miserably.
You got the angels behind you. He's got the computer.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank all of you for joining us, and much love to all of you. And Michael, again, I can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
Friday.
See you soon.
Okay. All right. Much love to all of you.
Bye.
And namaste.
Yeah. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Namaste, everybody. And I send you all love.